Rochelle White, good morning. How are you today? Nice to see you. Thank you for showing up on number one these days. Eric Osadolo, how are you today? Good morning. Shegun Fatuma, Bidemi. Joyce Arrow. We're going to have a wonderful time. Let me tell you that one. You are going to be thoroughly blessed by this message today. God is going to minister to us. Sultan Paps, Mayowa, Omonike, Adeleke, welcome all of you. You guys are going to enjoy the day. Dalim Madu, Lola Shurunke, Peter Balogun, Ola Martin, Ifeoma Shinedu. We are going to be hugely blessed today by this message. Joyce Arrow, Gerzon Fuentes, Daniel Atzenga, Alphason, Enemona, Lucila Tabua, Bro Say, Onyinye Okoro, Elizabeth, I know. Well, Andrew Vaughan, welcome everyone. Now, as we are beginning to start this message today, I would like to ask you, as usual, to go look under this video and you will see a share button there. Let's go ahead and share the button. Let's go ahead and share the message. Yep, go share the message. Go share the message, because you're going to be happy you did. Especially write your comment on top of it, or you might want to write some remarks to encourage people to join or to watch. Today's message is going to be a continuation of what we started yesterday, I think, or a few days ago. But today I'm rephrasing it a little bit. Today's message is why the message of miracles and breakthroughs must be replaced by the message of delayed gratification. Why the message of instant breakthroughs and miracles must be replaced by the message of delayed gratification. Like I've said several times this week, the message of breakthroughs and miracles and instant miracles, signs and wonders have really brought destruction to the African continent. It has brought shame, it has brought underdevelopment and exploitation to our people. It has really, become a laughing stock for people. So the messages of overemphasizing miracles, signs and wonders must be replaced by values. When we begin to teach our people that great things come to those who wait, it's high time for us to begin to let people know that great things only come to those people who wait, who can restrain and refrain from instant gratification, from trying to get something immediate satisfaction. The ability to delay your satisfaction, your pleasure, will actually increase that pleasure. It will actually increase and make it better. It will make your gain better. But talking about the message of instant gratification that must leave our pulpit and must be replaced by delayed gratification. And the reason and why the thing that this instant gratification is hinged on is miracles and all those promises of miracles and promises of breakthrough, but it's the direct opposite of the gospel of the Lord Jesus Christ. Now let me prove this to you from the scripture. I really want to take my time today, and I pray I will not get emotional today, because when I get emotional, I just go on and on. But I really want to take my time and just talk to you coolly from my heart I know that we are going to the new year and everybody is saying Happy New Year and all that now. But you know what? I'm so focused on what I'm doing that I don't have time for all the kind of congratulations. But all the same, Happy New Year. We'll be having our, tonight we'll be going to the church to do all night, what do we call it, crossover night service. And so that will be an exciting time here in Kyiv. And we'll be transmitting that as well, broadcasting it live. But how do I know that the message of instant gratification and miracles and too much emphasis on miracles and breakthrough is a deception and it's against the gospel of the Lord Jesus Christ? Even though God is a miracle worker, even though we believe that Jesus is a miracle worker, but what is happening and what is being practiced in our churches today is a counterfeit. It's a counterfeit of the gospel that Jesus preached. Jesus never preached miracle-focused gospel. He never focused on miracles. He focused on the message of the kingdom, and miracles followed. He was teaching people. He was preaching the gospel of the kingdom, and miracles just happened. They followed him, because he was a carrier of the presence of God, and the presence of God did the miracle. But just to prove the point that the miracle craze mentality of our pastors today, that is not biblical. Let me use Jesus' example, okay? Now, in Matthew chapter 4 and also Luke chapter 4, you all know this story of Jesus being taken to the mountain, to the wilderness to be tempted. So Jesus was led to the wilderness to be tempted by the devil. And after fasting for 40 days and 40 nights, he was hungry, the Bible says. Now, in verse 3 of that Matthew chapter 4, it says, now when the tempter came to him, the tempter, that is Satan, came to Jesus, he said, if you are the Son of God, command that these stones become bread. Instant gratification, isn't it? Miracles. So Jesus had the same temptation like a lot of men of God are having today. But we are falling into this temptation face on, head on. But Jesus was able to discern and was able to actually differentiate when miracle is necessary and when miracle is a temptation. When miracle itself becomes a distraction. Jesus was able to differentiate when to do miracles and when it is off the board to do miracles, when it is wrong to do miracles. But in our churches today, it's almost like you only go to church for miracles. It's almost like the only reason the church is existing is just for miracles. And right now, our pastors are falling over each other to prove who is more anointed for miracles. And almost everyone wants to prove and to the others that yes, I am the real miracle worker. I am the real one. I am the biggest miracle worker here. I am the biggest prophet in town. And so we have reduced miracle and miracle working to be the sanctioning body, to be the endorsement for so to call from God. But it's not. If a miracle, the ability to do miracle had been the endorsement, this was Jesus' chance to be endorsed or to be recognized. But he did just the opposite. He rejected the offer. And let's pay attention to who was offering, said Jesus, this one. Who was offering Jesus the opportunity to be endorsed through miracles? Who was offering Jesus the opportunity to demonstrate his authenticity by miracles? Who is he that was proposing miracle as the way for endorsement? It was not God. God was not the one that was proposing a miracle as the endorsement. It was Satan. It was the enemy of God. Satan is actually the one that is always pushing you to use miracles as your endorsement. In fact, even when other people went, okay, here is a clear illustration when Satan himself came to tempt Jesus to use miracle as his means of endorsement. But there were other instances when the humans were the people who were tempting Jesus and suggesting to Jesus to use miracles as his endorsement. You remember when they came to him and they said, what are the signs that you are the Son of God? Will you do some signs and some wonders to let us know? I mean, Moses did that sign, this one did that sign. What signs will you do to make us know that you are the Son of God? And what he said is that evil and wicked generation look for signs and wonders. Evil and wicked generation. So all the people that we call church members today, you want to hear Jesus' opinion about who they are? He's not seeing them as church members. A lot of them in his eyes are only evil and wicked generation. And we are saying they are church members. They are the biggest titans. They are the leading church members. The ones that are coming for miracles. Evil and wicked generation seek for signs. Seek for miracles. Because that's not the focus. The focus is supposed to be the nature of God. The focus is supposed to be the characteristics of God, the character of God, the ability, the desire. You should be seeking to know God. You should be seeking to discover God, his nature, his characteristics. That should be the focus. That should be the focus. But when the focus is miracles, you just miss it. So Jesus recognized that. And Jesus will not be deceived by those kind of cheap popularity. Jesus will not allow this kind of deception to get a better part of him. And he was so smart. Because, look, can you imagine? He's been fasting for 40 days. He's not been eating. Now, let me tell you what. Have you ever fasted for a few days before? Especially when you've not been eating for 40 days. Ooh. That might be a good time for Satan to tempt you. Huh? Satan is smart also. He's not foolish. He know the best time to come with a food offer. When you've not eaten for 40 days, ooh, there is nothing else you desire than food. The food offer came at the right time. But Jesus did something that we have to learn today and that we have to return to our pulpits today. He decided to delay that gratification. That is the practical example of delayed gratification. Jesus delayed the gratification. He postponed the gratification. He denied himself for the moment because he knows that he who laughs last, laughs best. He knows that he doesn't have to be now when the pressure is so high. It doesn't have to be now when, and when we think about, what do you call it? When we think about temptation, Jesus being tempted at this particular instance, we normally would think that it was, because it says here that the tempter came to him. We would normally think, who is going to be the tempter this time? You be the tempter this time. You don't want to be? You can be one? Okay. You're going to be the tempter. We're going to have a black tempter this time. You go to the back so that you can be visible a little bit. Okay, yeah, that's it. So let's say the tempter came to Jesus. Now, Caroline came here. I'm Jesus. She's the tempter. What we normally think is that Jesus saw Satan physically as the tempter. You know that's not what happened. Just Satan tempted Jesus just the same way he tempts me and you. The same very way he tempts me and you through my own thoughts. So the reason why he's saying he came to him here, he just, it actually came to him, but it's not physical. It's just in his thought. But he was able to recognize it. So not all our thoughts and the suggestions that we have in us are right. That is the proof. So it's not like Satan saw him that Satan, Jesus saw him and said, this is Satan. Oh, yeah, of course. Satan is not so stupid. And it will be stupid to even think that Satan will come and say, okay, let's make a deal, and Jesus will make a deal. Even if Satan comes to you, you will not make a deal with Satan like that physically. If Satan comes to me physically or comes to you physically, you are not going to agree. You know it's Satan. Satan always disguises himself, because it says that Satan comes like an angel of light. So you will not even know it's Satan. You will think it's you. Or you will think it's God's angel, actually. He comes always as the angel of light. He doesn't come say, I'm Satan, I come with an announcement. He doesn't come announcing himself. Or he doesn't come to say, okay, this is me, Satan. Okay, now I want to tempt you to do this. That would be stupid. Then there is no temptation in that. The temptation, the fact of the temptation is the fact that Satan Jesus would not immediately know that these thoughts are not from him. So what happens is the thought. It's just the thought comes to him. So when the thought came to him, he could have justified the thought and said, this is me. This is my thought. He could even be saying it is God's voice. He could even be saying, oh, this is God trying to give me an idea. So that is what we are supposed to be able to acknowledge today. That all the idea of miracles, all those things that are coming to us, some of them might be Satan actually sending them. So the push to do miracle, the drive to do miracle, a lot of time might be from Satan. Thank you. But not from God. So the pressure, when you are under pressure to perform, normally that's not the time to do miracles. That is normally a time for you to know that Satan is at work. And with what is going on in Africa right now, I think it is only very clear to everybody that all the Pentecostal churches and all these charismatic churches, what they are doing, trying to outdo the other one with miracles and trying to, do crazy stuff and do announcements of miracles. All those things are a proof that it is Satan that is at work. It is not God that is at work anymore. It is Satan that is at work. But unfortunately, with a lot of us, with a lot of gullible Africans, anything that is miraculous, anything that makes people to come and testify, anything that makes people to get the microphone and say, oh, I got this, I got that, it must be from God. If it's a miracle, it must be from God. If it's good, it must be from God. But we see now that even this was not from God. Even with Jesus, even though it was going to be a good thing, he has been hungry. If God or if Satan if that situation could have happened to you and me, even me or you, we all could have thought that it was God. I've been fasting for 40 days. First of all, it's not when you are fasting for 40 days you are expecting Satan. You said, wow, I've the fast and prayer, I've definitely thrown away the Satan. All the Satan, no Satan should come across, should come near right now, because I've fasted and prayed so much that, Satan should even be afraid to come near me. Well, sometimes it is where we have much spirituality. Sometimes it is where we have all these emotions, spirituality, all this, thick atmosphere of spiritual manifestations. That is where the most Satan is. In most cases, it is where you have the most demonstration of spirituality, where you have the most crowd. In most cases, that is where Satan is mostly seated. Now, you say all over Nigeria and Africa, many people are doing what? Many people are busy going to some mountains and to some camps right now before the new year. Everybody wants to meet the new year in the church. Some people have been there for the past 2 weeks. They are not going to work. They are not getting anything. They are going to just be on the mountain somewhere. Some of them have, been, in their campuses and their camps and doing conferences. They have just been locking themselves up, looking for, and they are thinking they are safe from Satan. And they are thinking that is the best place to be, because God, the man of God is doing miracles, and people are fasting and praying. So Satan shouldn't even be near here. They are going to be protected. Well, guess what? Even with Jesus, he couldn't be protected from Satan. Not just on regular days. He couldn't even be protected in his most powerful days, when he was fasting and praying. Even after 40 days, not just 10 days or 20 days of fasting. After 40 days of fasting, Satan didn't even go away from Jesus, and Jesus couldn't escape Satan. What does that tell me? It tells me that any craze, or most of our craze for miracles, whenever people are crazy for miracles, whenever people begin to look for miracles, most of the time they are inviting the enemy. Most of the time they are inviting Satan. It is that craze, it is that, expectation, it is that drive for miracle. You are laying the table for the enemy. You are actually laying the table for Satan big time. You are actually open the gate for him. You are opening the gate and putting before him a red carpet, and you are just telling him, yes, here we are, we're all ready. Because in that kind of atmosphere, people are so gullible. Because in that kind of atmosphere, people are so naive. In that kind of atmosphere, because they already think that God is here anyway, so they assume automatically that everything that happens at that moment is from God. So people automatically assume that all these moves and all these cries and all these noises, they must be from God. So it's actually, that is the kind of time where if you are smart, you are supposed to be very careful. And that is why in the Bible, God emphasizes more personal relationship with God rather than all those seeking miracles. That is why if you look at the Bible very well, every time that Jesus or the disciple did miracles, it's not because they were looking to do miracles. They were doing the miracle as a show. It's almost by accident. They accidentally went there and they saw some people in need and they met their needs. They accidentally went there and they saw people. They were not parading their miracles. Every time miracles are being paraded, know that Satan is among them. Because even with Jesus, it was among them. It was with him. He went to him when he was fasting and prayer. Because it is when you are praying and fasting and all those spiritual atmosphere of spirituality, that is when you are mostly open to it. So because you are expecting some supernatural something, that is when Satan comes. So I would think that it is rather wise for you to run away from those places where people are campaigning for miracles. I would rather think that it is wiser for you to run away from those centers where people are looking for miracles, because they are making themselves susceptible to the enemy that way. So even Jesus couldn't get Satan out of his bag after 40 days of fasting and prayer, which means that the fact that we are fasting and prayer doesn't necessarily get Satan away. Which means that fasting and prayer itself, or the environment of fasting and prayer, doesn't necessarily get Satan not to be there. So if Jesus, we could not get Satan to be out of the way when he was fasting prayer, I'm sure that many of our churches, Satan is just living there. He has permanent residence. So when we now begin to look for, signs of miracles and things, it comes into operation and begin to do all kinds of miracles and signs so that you will think it's God. So that's why there has been a lot of deception right now in the churches. What should be done is that we must begin to teach principles of the kingdom. That is what chases Satan away. We must begin to speak the word, putting the authority of the word above the authority of miracles. Because what got Satan to go? It was when Jesus was quoting the word. It was when Jesus was elevating the word. It was when Jesus was, emphasizing the authority of the word of God. It was when Jesus was, it is written. It is written. That is what got Satan to be away. But where we make, it is written to be secondary. Where we make the authority and the integrity of the word of God to be, just somehow there. And when we make miracle to be our focus, when we make signs and wonders to be our focus, we just open ourselves off for destruction. And we see that kind of destruction even among the men of God. Even some of the men of God, they are the victims. I went to do a little research this morning about miracles in Africa. You can't believe what I saw. Outrageous stuff. Outrageous things I saw in Africa, in the internet. So even the pastors themselves, even the men of God themselves, they are now the ones who, with all the What is, Satan himself is living in them. He's not just tempting them. That's the impression that I have. I have the impression that Satan himself has taken over not just the churches, but the men of God themselves. They have all been taken over by Satan. Because the kind of things people are doing right now in churches, it just confirms this thing that I'm saying, that whenever we are miracle crazed, whenever the only thing we are doing is to look for miracles, we lose at the end of the day. I mean, Satan comes and have a heyday. Look at this one, for example. Look at this picture that I saw. This is a so-called pastor, Pentecostal pastor in South Africa, that's making his church members to eat grass. And these people, because it is the man of God who said it, human being. These are all grown-up human beings. Human beings were actually going to eat grass. That is what the emphasis on miracle-centered gospel will do for you. That is what, miracle-centered gospel will do for you instead of principle-centered gospel. This is why the focus on miracles and breakthrough must be replaced by values and like delayed gratification. Because why is it that these people, they are coming from some houses. These people, I'm sure they finished some schools. I'm sure they are educated. I'm sure they are working somewhere. I'm sure they have, they are normal human beings on a regular day. But regular human beings with brains, they suspend their brains when they get to the church. Now, this is the extreme example. These are extreme examples, right? But some things are happening not as extreme, but in a subtle way, but they are still the same thing. It is still the same thing happening. And people believe that this is God because they are men of God are doing miracles, and because they are seeing testimonies, and because they are, they believe that the men of God cannot do anything wrong. So when we put the authority of the man as the ultimate, these are the kind of things that happen. When we make the authority of miracles to be the ultimate, these are the kind of thing that happens. By the way, I want to challenge everyone to go and share this message. Let's go ahead and share this message, a link to this message. And you have the right to do it. You have to get the freedom. You have the freedom to do it. So if you look under your video, please go ahead and press the share button. Press the share button, you'll be able to share this. So African countries are inundated by all these miracle workers. African countries are just overwhelmed. They are just occupied. The churches in Africa have just been hijacked. Believe me, the churches in Africa have been hijacked. I don't know that in any church this message is being preached, that there are times when miracles are wrong to do. That it is not all the time that miracle must be preached. That miracles are not supposed to be demonstrated and be done all the time. That miracles must not be the center of the Christian life. That the Christian church must not be all around and about miracles. But this is what Jesus was trying to tell us here. Will you come again, Caroline? Yeah. I want to hold a conversation with you. What are you hearing? You see yourself, you have to make sure that you are visible. What am I hearing Jesus to say? For example, he was hungry. Let's say you are Jesus. You are hungry right now. Okay, just fasted. Let me put it. Yeah. Just fasted. And now you are hungry. Now I'm bringing food to you. No Satan, no Satan this time. Because, like I said, it's not Satan. It's just the thought to get food. And Jesus knew that no, this is not the time for miracles. Yeah. He declined his own request, the request of his own flesh for miracles. His own desire. He will not be driven by hunger. Hunger is not a reason. Hunger is not enough an excuse. So when people in our country tell us that economic difficulties are enough reasons why people are flushing into churches looking for miracles. Yes, they should flush into churches, but not to look for miracles, but to look for God. When we now say economic difficulties and recession is enough reason why people are doing fraud, or why people are being armed robbers or thieves, it is not true. What people in our country say, oh, we can understand these youth who are messing up, who are doing the wrong thing. Oh, pastors, all these pastors, the fake pastors are all over the place. Oh, because of economic thing. It is the reason why we are all doing what is wrong. It's not the economy. It's not what is happening outside. That is the factor. It is the absence of the values within that is the factor. It is because there is no value like delayed gratification. That is why people are doing the thing that they have to do what they need to do, just to survive. But Jesus needed to survive now too. He was hungry. He needs to survive right now. He is hungry. He needs to survive. But he will not be driven by his instinct. He will not allow instinct to take the better part of him. He will not allow hunger or any pressure from outside to dictate his value system for him. So he rather embraced the value of delayed gratification. So, and our churches today must embrace this value of delayed gratification. The churches and pastors today must begin to tell their members that no, it is not miracle that you need right now. What you need right now is values. What you need right now is patience. What you need right now is hard work. What you need right now is diligence. What you need right now is the ability to perfect your act. What you need right now is to be able to do quality products. What you need right now is to learn the process of production. What you need right now is the loss of money. What you need right now is the ability to produce something. What you need now is no miracle. What you need now is not blessing. But it's almost like the pastors themselves are being held captive by the people. The people are coming to demand for miracles, and they have become like surrogates of the people. The pastors have become surrogates of the people, and they are hijacked by the people. And the people are telling them, oh, pastor, bless me. Pastor, pray for me. It's that they don't have any option. It's that they all they are under pressure to perform. But Jesus was under that same pressure too, and he will not perform miracles because there are some things that are more important than miracles. Values are more important than miracles, and that's what Jesus just demonstrated. He demonstrated the value of endurance. He demonstrated the value of perseverance. He demonstrated the value of long suffering. He demonstrated the value of patience. He demonstrated the value of delayed gratification. And so these are the things that we are supposed to be demonstrating to our people, and rearing these values in our community, in our churches, in our country. But because we are not emphasizing these things enough, people are free, and we are rather saying miracles, miracle all the time, breakthrough all the time. We are actually making people to be greedy. We are actually raising them up in the opposite, values, in the vices that that destroy them and that destroy the countries eventually. So so when crazy things like telling members to do all kind of crazy, to bring money offering, prophet offering, first fruit offering, faith offering, people are ready to do the same thing. So here now, please see. When I hear, for example, they are eating grass, but some things people are not eating. Maybe people are not eating grass in your church, or maybe people are not eating grass in some churches. But when they are telling you to be bringing first fruit every year or every month, it's the same foolishness as eating grass. It's the same deception. When they tell you to be planting seed offering, faith offering, and all kind of offering for prosperity and for miracle, it is also the same foolishness. It's the same foolishness as eating grass. So there are levels of this foolishness, but when they tell you also that you have to be coming to church every day, you come to church Monday, you come to church Tuesday, you come to church Thursday, you come to church Sunday, you come to Saturday, it is also the same foolishness. When they tell you that you have to be taking handkerchief and whispering some incantation into handkerchief or prayers into handkerchief and rub your face before before you go out because you have some handkerchief that has anointing by the man of God, so you cannot leave your house without using the handkerchief to hide your face. It's the same craziness as this eating the grass. It's the same thing. It's the same craziness. You know, when they now tell you that it is oil you have to be drinking, you have to be drinking oil, cooking oil. People drink cooking oil. Yes, people do it. And they say, oh, I have testimony. As if testimony is the only criteria. As if testimony is the only thing that is needed. As long as you have testimony, as long as you have stories to tell that, oh, it happened, it worked for me, that's it. Then you are authenticated. It is also the same thing as this. These are hijacked gospel. These are things that are not, they are not logical. It is the same craziness as this one. Or to be pouring Ribena upon people is also the same thing as craziness as these other ones. Look at another one here. South Africa. This one is telling the members to strip. They have to undress and strip themselves for miracles. Women, men, they have to all remove their clothes and come over there to receive miracles. Because the craze for miracle has replaced the craze for God. They drink petrol, eat grass, flowers. Some of them are even telling their members to eat fire. Look at this one. She's been told to put fire in her mouth, and now she comes back and people are doing it because she's testifying. Can you see the fire? It is the pastor that is putting fire, mash, in a eye, in a mouth, putting fire in her mouth, and then she comes back to testify. What kind of testimony is that? And people are saying, but it's working, As long as it's working. So these are the crazy things that happen when people are making the miracle as the focus. When we begin to look for miracles as the focus, demonic things begin to happen. Satan begin to have a heyday. Look at another one here. He's telling people to swallow snake for miracle. Bring this snake to the church. For people to swallow snake just for them to have miracles. So we must do something about this gospel. This miracle, breakthrough, focus gospel. We have to do something about it. And I don't care how many people are going to attack me. I don't care how many people are going to hate me. I don't care how many people are going to backsmouth me. I must talk about it because nobody is talking about it. We must talk about these things. We must replace the gospel of seeking miracles, signs and wonders with the gospel of the kingdom. We must return the gospel of the kingdom to the church. Look at this one. You are a woman. What do you call this thing? Is it attachment you call it, or what do you call it? Come.
Yeah.
Yes.
So like braiding hair.
Is it attachment or what do you call it?
Some do call it like that.
Or what do you call it?
Yes.
Braids?
Hairpieces.
Hairpieces. This one she has to be eating her own extensions. So that she will get miracles. And they are doing it. These are in churches. I'm not talking of witchcraft though. I'm not talking about shrines. I'm talking of churches. So this, you might be saying, no, we don't have that in our church, but you have it in other forms. Maybe they are telling you to bring offering 2 times a day or 3 times a day. They are telling you to bring offering in every meeting. Don't you know that is manipulation already? Don't you know somebody is telling you to bring first fruit the first morning? And if anybody deserves your first fruit, it's your parents. Your parents who gave you education. Your parents who sent you to school, who paid everything for you. Can't you sense that is exploitation? They are telling you to put oil in your gas instead of your gas, petrol, instead of petrol to put oil. Don't you know that is crazy? Oh, everything is possible for God. Yes, we know everything is possible for God, but please. There is another pastor that his feet cannot touch the ground in the church. His feet cannot touch the ground. Either they will carry him on the back like this, or he will stand, members will lie down and he will walk on them. And so anybody he walks on, they will expect to receive miracles. So this is, I'm showing you the extreme cases, right? And some of you are thinking, well, we don't have that. We don't have it that bad in our church. We don't have it that bad. But you have it that bad already. If they are telling you to live, to be in church from morning to night every day, to be coming to spend the night in church like 2 days, 2 weeks, 1 month in the church and not go to work, you have that already. It's the same thing. Look at this one. It's grass he has to eat for healing. So all kind of crazy stuff. So what do you girls think? Do you want to talk about it? You want to comment on it? Remove your coat. I'm going to show you into the video. What are you feeling about these things? Yeah. Mm-hmm. I want to put you on where do you sit? So I'm sure that for a lot of churches, things are much more subtle, right? Things are much more disguised. You see, I said things are much more disguised in a lot of places. But people are saying, oh, we don't have this in Nigeria, oh, we don't have this in my church. But there are a lot of other things that are as bad that maybe I might not know, but you who are coming from Africa, you might know. You need to move closer to the light. No, everybody here. So what are you feeling about these things? Shall I start with you? Because you look very sad. This is Ngoya Sharis, everybody. You've been reading the name Ngoya Sharis. This is the beautiful African queen here called Ngoya Sharis. She flew in from Germany, right?
Yes.
From Germany yesterday.
Yes.
Yesterday to be with me for the new year. So Ngoya Sharis, it's like you are horrified by this thing.
Yes, completely. I actually don't even have words because I'm so shocked. What I have been used to in regards to miracles was mostly just people expecting miracles without actually doing anything.
Yeah.
But the examples that you have shown right now are just, completely horrifying. I'm speechless, honestly. I'm just eating grass and eating snakes. It's just, I don't actually have words for it because I've never seen anything like it before. So, yeah, it's just, it shows how ignorant really, what kind of ignorance people really have. What level of ignorance is just, I don't know how deep, people must have sunk and how desperate they have to be in order to really...
How deceived.
Yes, and how misinformed. Yes, how misinformed they have to be in order to really do anything, to get the miracle that they're so desperately hoping for. It's just... it shows how, I mean, on one hand, it's very, very disgusting. And for me, I even had goosebumps, you know, watching those pictures. But it also shows how desperate the people are, you know, that they're so much in need of God. They're so much in need of the truth that they're ready to do anything to just get it. And I think it's really sad, you know, it's really sad to see how desperate they are. And but it also, you know, it also stirs up some hope, you know, because it looks like people are really ready to receive the truth. So I guess if they get the chance to receive, you know, the truth that you're teaching us, they will be very receptive, because there are some people, you know, who are too busy with things that are working and busy with their prosperity life and you know, their good life and enjoying it. So they're blinded to the truth, even if it is presented to them. So I guess that state of desperation opens another door to
what about this thing I'm talking about, that the message of miracles and breakthroughs must be replaced by delayed gratification? Let's leave the extreme things aside, but the message of delayed gratification, that you need to work hard for what you want to get, rather than immediate thing waiting for God to give them the miracles. Everybody do you see the necessity for that right now in the church, in the body of Christ?
Yes, definitely. I mean, people are getting very lazy, you know, with all these miracles that are happening or that they're expecting. They're just super lazy, and they're not being qualified, are not building themselves and upskilling in order to be prepared for opportunities that can come their way, you know. So I've experienced it myself, not being prepared, not investing into myself, and not upskilling so that I can be ready whenever an opportunity presents itself. But instead, I've been waiting for God to open the doors for me to be blessed, you know, working, maybe also working, but working in my corner and waiting on God to do the rest, even though I had other resources around me to upskill and to explore, to grow, to just enhance myself. But I've also lost a lot of time just waiting on miracles to happen, even though it's not, you know, it's not what God wanted me to do. He wanted me to grow and to learn from my environment, to make use of everything that I have, instead of waiting for him, because he can only do so much, you know. I'm blessed with hands, I'm blessed with arms, I'm blessed with so many things that I have, and, you know, not making use of it, it's just a disgrace to God, you know. There are so many people who don't even have arms, who don't have legs, they have nothing at all, and I have all of that, and I was sitting there not making use of them. And I think many people in the churches, especially, you know, they don't even spend the time thinking about what they have. They spend time thinking about what they don't have and what God can do for them because of the things that they're lacking. But they can actually create what they want with everything that they have. And it's just, you know, that revelation is so profound. But I think what keeps people, especially church people, from getting to that realization is that they're so busy. They're so busy being religious, you know, that they don't even have time to really sit back and try to have that holistic view on make an assessment of your situation. You know, just sit down for a second and think about everything that surrounds you, everything that you have gone through. Make an inventory of the things that you have, and the things that you want, the things that you're capable of doing, the things that are required for you to get where you want to go, where you want to go, or to get. And we don't do that. We don't take that time to make that assessment. And I think that's the problem, you know.
So, do you think the messages in our churches, after a little bit, be changed slightly to reflect these things?
If they have to, or if they have?
Do you think they must change?
Oh yes, definitely. I mean, I understand that people are also scared, to not become too materialistic or too secular and to leave God out of the equation totally. And so there always has to be a balance, There always has to be a balance between the physical world and the spiritual world. And we need to create that balance. We definitely need to create that balance in the churches.
Thank you so much, Charis. Shorunke.
Hello.
Caroline, you look so sad.
I'm just shaking and disgusted because I don't, I've watched documentaries on cults, and that's what these practices are. They're cultic. They're not even gospel. You can't say that they're any rendition of the gospel. They're just occultic. That's what cults do. They take a little grain of the truth and then they manipulate you with it, so that they can have whatever kind of selfish glory or accolade or money that they want. And to just see that,
No, I'm sorry, Caroline, but what I showed you is the extreme. But I also want to show you some other subtle things that people are doing. Can you imagine that in my country, Nigeria, people will bypass the poor, they will bypass the children that cannot go to school, they will bypass widows, they will bypass orphans, and be taking tithe and offering to churches. But the Bible, really, if you read the Bible, the tithe and offering does not necessarily belong to the church. The tithe and offering belongs to the priest, to the church, but not only, but apart from the church, to the widows. Tithe and offering belong not just to the church, but to the widows. Who is more in need today? Some of these churches have too much money already. All our tithe and offering must be directed not to the church anymore, but to the widows, to the orphans, and to the desperate people around us, to build the country, to construct the economy. But instead of that, we've been so brainwashed that only church, tithe and offering must only come to church. Is this, for me, that is the same foolishness as eating grass. For me, that is the same foolishness as eating snake. For me, that is the same foolishness as eating, and it's just being brainwashed. People have been brainwashed to bring all their money. Some people don't even provide for their families. Some people cannot even send their own children to school. Some people cannot even do what they need to do for their own family, and they will take the money to church. That is the same thing. Caroline, I need to hear your thoughts on all of these things.
Just like there are principles to be successful in this life, there are also principles to be evil. And the truth is that evil comes in many sizes, just like success. And even though these are extreme cases, the truth is that we run the risk on a small level becoming occultic in this way, just with those small practices, just by ignoring or demeaning the authority of the word and the principle of God for our own selfish needs, for our own selfish wants. And the reason why it's so easy for us to take the money that we worked hard for to the church when we haven't paid our own bills is because we're selfish and we're lazy, because we think, okay, I can maybe get it faster, I can maybe get what I want quicker if I can give it to the church. So we just put blinders on. We just put blinders on to anything around us that is distracting us from whatever kind of greedy want that we want. And it's not even something that benefits anybody but yourself. If you notice, when Pastor was talking about the story of Jesus being tempted by Satan was asking him to feed himself. That's the temptation, is let me feed myself. Let me bypass what my goal, what my purpose is in life, who I'm supposed to touch, who I'm supposed to reach. Let me just think about feeding myself. That's the foundation of this occultic, this kind of behavior, this kind of evil principle is let me feed myself. So we just blind ourselves to anything that's getting in the way of our own food, of our own desire, of our own satisfaction. Because we're so focused on us, we can't see anything else. We can't see, we will go crazy, we'll lose our minds, we'll hang up our minds just so that we can get our own desire. That is what greed gets you. It gets you. It's just, like he said, it's Satan's field day. He wants you to become nothing, because he is nothing. That's all he wants. He wants you to just be so consumed by yourself. That's what happened to him. He became so consumed with himself.
This is all happening in the church, though.
Exactly.
Pastors are promoting this.
Yes, because the problem is that before any of these people were Christians, they already had that principle. They already had decided, this is about me. So when someone brought them the gospel, they thought, okay, so it's still about me. They haven't changed their mind. They haven't renewed their mind to know that now it's no longer about you. Now it's about Christ. Now it's about the kingdom. Now it's about bringing people to the kingdom. Instead, they've just taken their old ways and just put it on top of this gospel. And so it's not become the gospel. It's become something else. It's become, evil. It's become...
self-centered.
Yes, self-centered, selfish. It's become deformed. It's not even the gospel. It's just whatever you had before, you have not transformed. So now you're just continuing it and calling it gospel. And you're just, in a sense, blaspheming. You're, in a sense, just putting dirt all over the gospel, all over this, pure and lovely thing that we have.
How can delayed gratification help address this if we change our messages in the churches?
Well, delayed gratification is all about discovering the principles of the kingdom, and to hold that as having more authority than any kind of feeling that we have, any kind of desire that we want right now. To say, okay, let me take my time. Let me figure out what are the principles that I need to learn so that this thing that I want can be not only sustained, but it can gratify the needs of many people. That it can gratify first the need of Jesus, of the need of God to spread his kingdom across the earth. That is what delayed gratification gets us. It gets us something that reaches all people, and it reaches for several generations. It brings back or it awakens the sons of God, the sons of God that the whole world is waiting for. That is what the delayed gratification is us developing not only ourselves, but it's us also being able to create something so that more sons of God can be awakened. That's what this is, that's what delayed gratification in our churches is supposed to be. And by preaching delayed gratification, we can put a stop to this evil. We can put a stop to this just blindness that we have put ourselves in, this selfishness, Delayed gratification can open our eyes to the glory that is the principles of God, the kingdom of God. But as long as we want the instant, we will just continue blinding ourselves till we become nothing, till the church becomes more than a laughing stock that it is today, We have to stop. We have to do something new. We cannot be insane and continue to do the same thing and expect some kind of miraculous results.
But why is it that this mentality of miracle in a place like Nigeria is so well accepted, actually? People just think that this is the norm. Mm-hmm. And even people like me that is preaching this thing now, you're not going to be attacked.
Yes.
People are going to say, I'm the one that is in error by saying, they will say, I don't believe in miracles. But I'm not saying I don't believe in miracles. I'm just saying that we should put it at the back burner. And the gospel of the kingdom has to be the center, not...
Yeah.
Yes. I really liked what Caroline said about the self-centeredness, because if you think about it properly, if you're focused on self and you're not focused on someone else, and you're doing something that will benefit you, and you're being criticized by doing so, it shows you as someone who is guilty, because what you're focusing on is you yourself. But if we try to change the message into something that is outwardly looking, into that the kingdom is, about someone else, looking after your neighbor, looking after the person next to you, instead of looking for miracles that will benefit you only. It changes.
Because love is about other people.
Exactly.
Loving others before yourself,
yes.
Putting the interests of others above your own interests.
Yes. And so you ask yourself, if I get that miracle, how is it going to help the person next to me? What kind of testimony am I going to bring to the person that is going to set her or him free, you know, that is going to give an answer to their problem or a solution to the problems or questions that they have. And so I think if people start looking at their neighbors instead of themselves, it changes the entire message, you know, it changes the perspective, because what we have right now is mostly, how am I going to benefit from it? Just like Caroline said, how am I going to, what gratification is it bringing to me? How satisfied am I going to be? How happy am I going to be? If I give that donation, how good am I going to feel, you know? So it's more, it's really self-centered, just like you've said. This is like something that really sparked the light in me. It was like, this is it, you know, because we are looking for happiness. We are basically doing what the secular world is doing. We're trying to be happy as much as we can.
Even in the illegal way, illicit way.
Yes, because that's the message that we hear all the time. That's the message that we hear everywhere. The purpose of life is for you to become happy, the pursuit of happiness. What does that mean? How do you feel? You know, give to others. And
so the church is actually preaching the secular gospel?
Yes, because if you look at all those books of motivational speakers and all of these people, what do they say for you to feel good and to find purpose in life? They always talk about, you know, think about organizing your life, and then other points are give to others, like give to charity, give to these, give to that, so that you can feel good, so that you can get happiness from these things. It is really just about you, just about how can you make life so good that it's worthwhile, and worthwhile means, how is it going to benefit you? Me, exactly. How is it going to be making you happy in the best way, the simplest way possible, while still looking charitable, as if you're actually thinking about someone else, you know? But honestly, if you look at it from, like, if you're really truthful about yourself, you will notice that it's all about yourself. It's just about you.
I think we should share these messages, really. I think this message has to spread, and I think we need to share this message. Not too many of us have shared the message. Less than 100 people have shared this message right now. So please go ahead and share the message. Look for the message and look for the share button under your video and go ahead and share it. Please go ahead. If you have not shared the message, write something on it. Tell people, write something like, you must wear this. I mean, you must see this. You must watch this. You must watch this. So if you are ready, I mean, if you really want to be a Christian, you have to see this. So let's go ahead and tell people to watch this program by all means. Okay, Ireti, you know, you are coming from Africa, actually. Unlike all of us that are here, you live in Africa, even though you don't go to those churches, but you don't go to church, actually. That's good for you. That's your salvation, that you don't go to church. Actually, these days, the way for me to discover who are the real Christians are if they go to church or they don't go to church, actually. The ones who don't go to church now are much more respected by me than those who go to church. I know the real Christians by saying that they are disgusted with the churches now and they don't go anywhere. They just do with their friends or their family. That's what I appreciate better now. Because what is happening in those churches is just crazy. Churches will lead people to hell. Churches don't lead people from hell anymore. It leads them to hell. So what do you say about all these things I was talking about?
Okay, you said something about you were asking how come Nigerians they just like these things, they accept, you know, this miracle stuff. Is like they are hungry for it, they want it. You said something like
they
that.
Have an excuse because they think that economic situation is an excuse.
Yes.
But Jesus was hungry, and he didn't fall for that excuse.
And the thing is, in Nigeria generally, and I think maybe a large part of Africa, we are believers. We like to believe. We like to believe, you know, in something. So it's always like, instead of having solutions, we just believe without knowing the process, how it's done. Like in those days, we had herbalists, had witch doctors, people who took care of people who till they died did not hand over, you know, what it was they were using to heal people. Yes, they had, you know, the herbs and stuffs. They could only hand over maybe to one person, which would be the son who was to inherit. Everything was kept as secret. Even, you know, so it's been our lifestyle to to just believe
mysterious,
to believe in the mysterious, to leave things, in the, mysterious things kind of get us. We're too quick to believe without asking for explanation, without asking for how.
Superstitious things.
Yes, how did you arrive at this result? So that it's not just what I gain now, but what I have gained so that I can use for other people or use at a later time. So, and when that is the case with people, it means they will have to keep coming back, keep coming to the same source, for these miracles. If it happens once, if what they're looking for happens once, then they get stuck to this place and to this pastor, and then they keep coming back. So it's like it pays the pastor, the GO, the whoever that is entertaining them, to come. It pays him, because the moment you get a miracle, then I become your miracle worker, and then you have to keep coming back. So I think generally, like, the problem we have is just this, not being inquisitive enough. They're not having this nature of wanting to find out what exactly is, how do we arrive here? In maths, it's possible to, do in your objectives, they just ask you what the answer is, and you just put you work it out, and then you put the answers. So if you're lucky, you couldn't work it out, but you pick the right answer, A, B, C, or D, then you've gotten it. But in real life, what works is for you to know how you arrived at that, how your maths, how you arrived at that. So that's the problem we have. We often are not keen about getting the answers. How do we arrive? The pastor said some very interesting thing. He said, what is happening now is a counterfeit. Jesus was going about preaching the kingdom principles. He was preaching the kingdom. And so miracles that he did were just things he did because he met situations, he met needs. Sorry, when people begin to make miracles the center, when they make it the object of coming together, when people make such a big deal of it, it's a counterfeit. Because the moment you begin to do that, you're taking people's attention away from God, you're taking people's attention away from others, they're taking people's attention to themselves, and problems don't ever stop. Breakthroughs never stop. I was talking with Pastor Tatiana, one of the pastors here in God Ever Say. I was talking with her, Caroline and I, she was sharing with us, and she was like, what you do is that even when you are in your happiest moments, before problems come, that you prepare yourself, you prepare your heart. You're like, even if this particular problem, even though it has not surfaced, when you're at your happiest, you're thinking, even if this problem comes, if this problem should come, I'll be standing, I'll be, the worst thing that the devil could threaten you with or could bring fears into your heart about, you're ready that if no matter what happens, I'll be standing, I'll be joyful, I'll be over this, even before they come, rather than have that kind of disposition. I mean, someone is talking about being ready to face what has not come. We're busy, looking at every single problem and looking for for miracles, rather than having the confidence that I will go on in life and do what needs to be done. I think generally Nigerians are failing in this regard, and our men of God are encouraging this seriously. And as I said to Pastor the other day, when he said, are they going to resist such, if they find out it's true, even if many pastors find out that this is the truth right now, because this has become a lifeline to them. This is what makes money come to them. This is what they feed on. This is what it will be difficult to let go. That I am sure of. It will be difficult to let go. Some very honest ones with integrity who have been in the wrong, yes, they will change. But others will fight because they don't know any other way of making it. And there's some who came into all this because of because it's lucrative, because it has become something that you make money from. Church has become something that makes big money. So it will be difficult for some to, but we're believing that yes, now eventually we'll all get there. Nigeria will get there.
Okay, someone is asking here, please sir, is not going to church again the solution? I think we can be going to church to correct those things that are wrong. So I stand to be corrected. The thing is that how can you go to going to church as a church member to correct what is wrong? when you are not the one in charge. You can only correct when you have the authority to correct. You can only correct when you are the senior pastor. Or even if you are a branch pastor and you try to correct something, they will chase you away. So is not going to church the answer? Of course not. But church is not always building. Going to church might mean meeting together with people of like minds. Going to church might mean, meeting together in your family, meeting together with your friends, meeting together with people who really love God. But not the church we have understood to be church today as church buildings. And those church buildings and the big denominations, they are the ones leading people to hell. That is why I'm saying that you say you can change. You have to be the proprietor of the church to change something in the church. You have to be either the senior pastor or the proprietor. Otherwise, trying to change the big practice of the denominations, you are actually compromising. That's what you are doing. You are actually compromising yourself. You are compromising your values. You are compromised. What do you say about that? How did you resolve that problem?
Okay, like mine now, it's over 10 years ago that I left. Actually, it will be 11 years in January.
Yeah, over 10 years.
Yes, 11 years in January that I left church. And the organized church, the one we see. And since I left, about 8 of us left, so to say, together, and started fellowshipping together. We come together when we feel the drive and all that. And that has solved our needs, that has met our needs as a people, as people who want to know more about God, how to, what is it that God wants us to do, how do we survive in this nation. So after a while, we became just 6, So 6 of us from then till now find time to meet, to talk about our challenges in a corrupt world. How do we solve it? Because this is what is missing in the big church. You find out that you come there, you do all the routines and everything. You go back and nobody has been able to touch, you've not been able to relate, and which is the real fellowship we talk about. So there's no fellowship in the big church and all that. I'm not saying everybody should come out of church. That's not it. There'll probably be people who will be used from inside there, to come out. But since I got out of church, some of these things, when they're talking about the problems of the church and all that, I just smile because I'm so not into it. I'm not trying to remove the thoughts because nobody is pouring the thoughts into me. Nobody is every day giving me the wrong things and I'm trying to remove the wrong things, per day. I just seek the Lord and fellowship with brethren as I see fit. And sometimes not just the 6 of us. There have been times that, based on groups, maybe like, you were couples together one time and all that, and you spent like a year meeting regularly. And actually at that point we spent like 2 years meeting regularly, sharpening each other until everybody went their ways, so different fellowships form at different times, and as they form and it's time to move on, you move on. But I think this has been beautiful and has helped each and every one of us so much, so that when I came across Pastor and I read his things, because this is the things we talk about, that this is what the church should be about, this is what the church should be about, but no church is about it. How do we do it? How do we get it done? So when I read about Pastor, I read some of his stuff, I was like, this is what we've been talking about. All of us were like, there's a band like this that has practiced this. And I got in touch with him, and it was so beautiful because, Pastor is, it's just the real thing. No, like you get in touch with him, you'll be like, it's what you got from far. It's different from what you're getting now. No. So he was so real and all that. And we started like, you go and meet him. Let's be sure that what he is on the pulpit, what he is in his books, is what he is in real life. If that is the case, then this is the real deal. And truly speaking, when I came across him, and the first thing I sent him a message to let him know that, well, maybe it may be strange to you, but I don't belong to any organized church. And he said, wow, that's beautiful. That in itself confirmed to me he's not so religious that he will not see why some people may come out. So, as Pastor was asking, I don't think it's compulsory that everybody will go out. But the truth of the matter is, if you are somewhere that you don't have a voice, you cannot change things, and you sit down on daily basis, somebody is saying something about your father that is not true. This was what got me out of the church. I came out, I said, I can no longer sit down and hear somebody talk about my father, say things about my father that are not true, and I sit down.
My Heavenly Father.
Heavenly Father, and he keeps saying it, and it's wrong. And I sit down and keep calm. And every day I go out, I said, because nobody will insult my physical father. And I'll sit down. I'll open my mouth and say, no, he is not like that. You paint my father as a thief. You paint my father as a crooked person, someone who manipulator. You are and you're up there, you're saying it. I can't stand up and say, no, I know him. We both know him. This is not how my father is. I imagine it. What I said when I came out, I said, look, if my big brother, who I respect so much, she'll stand up and begin to talk in the midst of people, and begins to misrepresent my father. He's saying, our father wants, anyone who has money here, bring it. Our father wants this. And I don't know my father. I know how he said, that's my physical father now. I said, if I spare him the first time, I'll go to him after the meeting and say, bros, that's not how daddy is. And it was unfair to paint him like that. You make me that. If it continues, I said, no, that's how it is, and it continues. It's either I stop coming to this place, or I tell him to his face, stand out there, I said, no, daddy didn't send us this, and daddy is not like this, and daddy will not take anything like this from you. So I said, look, it can't continue, because I endorse this if I sit down and allow somebody to be doing the wrong things, saying the wrong things about my father every time, and I can't do nothing about it. So everybody's choice, but I made that choice, and since I came out, I have not had one day of regret, because every day I meet people who are in church. They're either the good ones are lamenting. The ones who don't know their left from right, they are misled. So when I see them, it confirms to me, thank God I am out. Thank God I am out. And God also himself confirms every day, because he keeps walking with you. You keep walking with him, and you are getting confirmation that thank God.
What about this? People thinking that without the blessing of their fathers, their papas, that every little thing they want to do, that's why they cannot leave church, because they must get blessing. They must be blessed by this. They must be blessed by that. Is that not the reason why people cannot? Where do you get all your blessings from?
Exactly. I was going to say that, because I've been blessed. Every day I enjoy the blessings of God. The truth of the matter is, I never believed in getting blessings from a man of God before you go your way, before you do things. Yes, it is a good thing if you follow somebody, and you followed him for a while, and then maybe you want to go out from under him. You don't want to do that, with the kind of blessings. Yes, you don't want to do that, fighting him or doing something that, that's the kind of blessings I understand, in the sense that you want to go out and he's happy. He's glad, you didn't make him sad when you're going out. Although at times some who are so
blessing to do everything.
Yes, I know. So when it now comes to, but apart from that one, that you want to go out amicably, do things amicably, apart from that, whatever you want to do, you need him to. So what do you have the Father for? What do you have God for? What is God's place in your life? He has blessed you. You are blessed. I remember one day, though I had taught my children that principle, I made a mistake one day. I wanted to get my firstborn to do something, and I said, sweetheart, look, the Lord he will bless you. Do this for me. He looked at me and said, I'm blessed. It was 9. He was surprised that I would tell him God will bless him, and that was an error. It just came out. I don't wanted to use that, but I said, but I'm blessed. So I'll go and do it for you. He was looking at me strangely, like, what the thing to say. So I'll go and do it for you, but I'm blessed. I said, yeah, you are blessed. That was an error on my part. In the sense that, look, you are blessed. You are blessed because you belong to the Father. Your sonship, you are blessed. You are a son. You belong to the Father. The Father covers you. The fact that you belong to the house is where your blessing is, in the house of God, to God himself. So it's a big error to think that it's when you belong. It's when a man of God lays hand on you or say you are blessed, then before you go out, or gives you a handkerchief or gives you oil. That's error,
You have something to say about that? About the challenge of today. If you find yourself in a situation like that, whereby the churches don't, they are wrong, and you still feel you still must be there, or what do people think should be done in such a situation?
Well, I personally am not going to church either. Since I moved to Dublin,
you got delivered.
Yes, Yes, I got delivered. I can say it that way because I was trying to find a church when I moved to Ireland. I moved to Dublin. This was like the first thing on my mind was try to find a church all the time. And I went to so many churches and actually didn't find one. And I was thinking,
but some people will still compromise.
Yes.
And think because of the tradition.
Yes.
Tradition is more important to them than the truth.
And it was, to me, I was thinking that this was my first goal, to find a church, because this is my duty as a Christian. I have to find a place where, I have to gather with my fellows and we fellowship together and everything. And so when I was really confused, and I actually contacted Pastor Tope and asked him what I should do, because I was really confused. I was thinking, do I really need to go to a church? And when he then told me that I can have a relationship with God, it's not about finding a place to
People
go.
now downplay relationship with God just because of church.
And the focus was not even on God anymore. The focus was on church and finding just a place and having that definition of church and those four walls, and this is what you consider church. But it really is about you, yourself, and your relationship with God. And when you were asking about where do you find your miracles and get your miracles, I was thinking, it starts by actually waking up, just waking up.
Glory to God.
And being able to breathe every day, to see the daylight, I was just having that realization of waking up in the morning and understanding that you are alive, that you still have that gift, you still have the possibility to leave a trace on this earth as you're waking up. And the moment that I understood this, it just changed my life completely, because I understood that I have everything in me, that I truly am the church, when we say that you are the church and not the four walls of that building, and that you as a person, you and the relationship with God that you have is what makes the church. I understood that, everywhere I go, I can be a blessing. Everywhere I go, I can. It's a miracle to actually just walk, to be able to afford certain things, or to be able to smile to someone and to just bless another person's day, to be able to help another person with the smallest things that you have. You don't have to, heal, a leprous person or whatever. You can also just help someone who's, in sorrow. You can talk to them. You can lend an ear. You can do so many things on a daily basis. So many small things that we just overlook so easily because we're looking for the big miracles, that we're supposed to get as Christians.
Like eating the grass.
Yes, exactly. For whatever sort of healing. The relationship with God, it's not that you have your miracles on one hand or your church life on one hand, and then you have your life on this world on one hand, but it's both synced together. You're walking daily with God. It's like jogging with your trainer. You're running in the morning with a friend or with a trainer.
With
you
God.
have a relationship. You're discussing about, okay, where should we go? Should we go this route, or should we take this direction? How should we go? And he gives you his input, and you take decisions. He opens doors or he closes them. You trust that he's with you, and that every step of the way, when it says in the Bible that he will direct your paths, for him to direct your paths, you have to have a path. First of all, you have to walk. You have to move something for him to be able to place it correctly. If it's on the wrong spot or whatever. And so we're waiting for him to do all of that, even though he's saying that he will direct us. It's not like he will walk for us, but he will help us to go to the right direction as soon as we start walking. So this is where you can, this is how I see it.
Then you fellowship with Christians also, different ways.
Yes, and especially with technology.
Yeah, with technology, because people say, okay, but the Bible said, do not forsake the assembly of your brethren. But that doesn't mean the church the way we see it today. In fact, there was no church the way the churches are today, denominations. There was nothing like that when that was written.
Yes. Yes.
When that was written, they only had house fellowships. They only have small groups. So when we think that what that scripture is talking about is church, the way we see it as denominations and big building, there was no building that time. That time that scripture was written, there was no building. That just means meet with Christians anywhere you can. That just means that fellowship, and that's what they say. Do not forsake the assembly. Assemble. Anywhere they assemble, it's not church building. What we are thinking today. So it's part of the manipulation we're talking about.
Yeah, especially with technology today, you can fellowship with so many people at the same time from different places all over the world. It's not about meeting at a certain spot. It's about fellowshipping. It's nothing geographical. Yeah, between people, it's relationships. So, yeah.
Yes. Well, I have a little bit of the opposite story where I did get kind of sucked into the church thing, but I think it was me too, not wanting to forsake the assembly of the brethren. And where I was living, or where I moved to, LA, it's not like you're meeting Christians on the street. So the only way that you're going to meet Christians is in church.
Yeah.
The thing is that, in my case, when I went to church, that was my goal. My goal was to really find good Christian friends. That was my goal. And the problem is that the church is one that, when a new person comes, they're really excited, and so they get really involved, and they seem to very much care about you. And so I'm thinking, these are my friends, right? Then next thing you know, they're asking you to serve. And so because you feel like these are my friends, you go ahead and you serve. And then their excitement starts to dwindle because you're already serving now. Now you've become kind of like one of their workers. So now you begin to see that they're falling off. They're not as excited about you, and you're wondering, so what happened to my friends? Next thing you know, maybe you don't show up to church on a Sunday. Maybe you didn't, you had to not serve that Sunday because maybe you were sick or whatever. And you're getting somebody from the leadership team says, okay, let's have a coffee date. Let's sit down. Let's talk. We haven't really talked. You go and you think that they actually wanted to maybe freshen up the relationship, rekindle the friendship, get to know where you are in life, and really get involved in your life. The end of the story is, why weren't you on church on Sunday? So then you're feeling pressure now. People are looking at you that you weren't at church on Sunday, and now you're serving on a team. And not only are you serving, now they've promoted you to leader. So now you're a leader in the church. So now they're putting pressure on you because now you're a leader on the church. It's just it's manipulation too. But you don't know what it's happening. You're being slow cooked like a frog in a pot of water. You don't know what's happening till now you're tied in so many different directions. And then by the end of it, now God told me at the top of this year, actually, he said, I don't want you to serve anymore. And I half obeyed him, and I stepped down from I was actually serving on 4 different teams. So I stepped down from about 3 of them. And then my one team that was really struggling, I said, okay, God, please give me peace. I just need to help them, and things like that. And God just gave me peace. He's like, okay, go ahead. At the end of the day, they ended up promoting me, and I ended up being, in charge of certain Sundays. And at the end of the day, it just became a distraction for me. And then God grew the team by 3 times. And he said, I didn't even need you to grow the team. You didn't need to be there. This was around September. He was like, you just wanted to be there because you wanted to look helpful. You wanted to look like you were responsible. That's the problem, is that when you are being manipulated into a place of feeling like, oh, I have to be there. Now I have a responsibility. You feel like now it's your responsibility to not let the people down. You're no longer thinking about God. You're no longer thinking about your relationship with God. You're no longer even thinking about your relationship with the people in the church. You're thinking about not disappointing the people who put you in whatever position. Right.
But that pressure could actually make you to lose your focus on your personal relationship with God.
Yes.
But you are now more concerned about pleasing.
And that was the war in my spirit.
Say that, please. you say that, put that all together? That you lose your focus on personal relations?
Yes. So now your focus, in the beginning, it was, let me find people who can continue to help me sharpen myself in Christ. But now, because of all this responsibility, all this kind of obligations in the church, suddenly now your focus has shifted. You don't even know when it shifted. You don't know quite when that happened. But suddenly it shifted. Every Sunday now, you're nervous about getting there on time, smiling at the people that are there. Your focus is, you realize that by the end of Sunday, you haven't even talked to God. You haven't even talked to anybody about God. You've just been doing pleasantries and trying to be at church on time and do the right things. And you haven't done anything. It has done nothing for the kingdom.
It has actually stolen your relationship.
It has stolen your time. It's stolen, time is life.
With God.
Yes.
It has stolen your relationship.
Yes.
What matters. Christianity and church going is supposed to be about personal relationship, developing personal relationship with God. But what it has done, it has stolen that intimacy, that personal relationship with God, just because of religiosity. Religion steals personal relationship with God.
Yes. So that was my story, but the end of the story is that as soon as I said I'm leaving, that's when I got the opportunity to come to Ukraine. So I'm no longer going to be going to church, I'm going to go to Pastor Sandey's church. But I definitely, when I came here this last HMT, I realized that what was I doing? What was I doing? Making excuses for other people, not even for my own relationship with God, but just for other people's, people who are getting paid to do their job in the church. They're telling you to now sacrifice your own relationship so that you can come and, build their own vision. It's a web of lies. But everybody in this church, they believe that they're doing the right thing. That's the thing. You know that their heart is good, but you also know that what they're doing is manipulative, but you make excuses for them because, they want, you want to make it seem like, it's not that bad. It's not like a cult. It's not like those other churches, those over religious. It's not like that. It's just that they don't know. You start making excuses, and before you know it, you're in a place that isn't good for yourself. So.
The most important thing is actually personal relationship with God. Church is nothing if it will not lead you to a stronger personal relationship with God. Church is only for that purpose. When that purpose is lost, because the Bible says that your tradition makes the power of God of no effect. If the traditions in churches, if the practices in churches is not bringing you closer into a personal relationship with God, you have to run away from that church. Don't just quit going there. You have to run away from it. And you only go to a church that strengthens your relationship with God and that helps you to fulfill your calling in God. Those are the kind of churches you should look for. If not that, it's better for you to just find people of like-minded, believers like yourself, and just be with them and, and strengthen each other in faith. That is what the original concept of don't forsake the assembly of your brethren is all about.
Yeah, you said something in Church Shift, when you talked about the fact that the things we do in church, when we come to church, they are supposed to just be things we do to maintain the house. Yeah. I mean, these are housekeeping. This is housekeeping. Just like you will keep the house. I mean, everybody wants to go to work on daily basis from a house, but you must keep the rooms clean, keep the sink clean, your bed and everything. But it will be disastrous if a father should raise his children to say, washing the plate is what you are called to do
all your life.
And making bed is what you're called to do. So train well and continue to, that's what ushering, that's what being in the choir and all this is what they are all about. It's just supposed to be for our gathering. And when we gather, we do all those things, and keep the place clean when we are through, so that we have charged ourselves up for the work outside.
Some people think that going to church makes God happy with them.
But it's
supposed to be the opposite. Going to church is supposed to make us love God better. They think that when they go to church, they make God service. They make God to love them better. Going to church makes God love me more. But really, it's supposed to be going to church make me to love God. That's what Shigo is writing here. Going to church is supposed to draw me closer to God, to love God more. But what we think is that it is going to church by itself makes God to be pleased with me. But rather, it's supposed to be me getting to know God more and be more in love with God. That's what church is supposed to do for me.
Yeah, and then when the church now, it now looks like what the church is doing to everyone now is leaving people without vision, because everybody buys into the vision of the pastor, leaving everybody without money. It's like you've used all your spare everything to service your gathering, and then leaves you without energy. All your time, all the spare energy, everything that you have, you give into church, and because it's not that's not the perfect will of God for you. You don't, more energy does not rise in you. You just see yourself giving into this purse. You keep giving into this purse, but you don't see it actually affecting anyone, or all the things, all the burdens in your heart, people that you don't want, you understand, you don't see it affecting them. This is the problem. Because if, for instance, you were giving your money into a place and then you see it touching the lives of the motherless, which is your burden, then you are happy that this is happening, but when you give your money into the church, all that you can spare, you give it to the church, and then the motherless are there, they still remain on taken care of, and the widows are there, they are not taken care of, and then your man of God has the best, he has best of cars, and he's telling you we're going to have aircraft next year, we're working towards it. He's not in any way satisfying the deep needs of your heart, and then you continue to feel more and more empty. You're not, so energy is dissipated. You're not having, passion, the passion to do more is not there, but when you find yourself, like after living here, what I myself and my husband found ourselves doing when we go back to Nigeria, when you find yourself going to a place and meeting needs by yourself, doing things, rehab and all that, your passion, your energy, even the money you thought you didn't have you just come out, because
tell them a little bit of that. What did you begin to do after you left Kyiv?
As soon as
they don't know.
As soon as we left Kyiv, my husband and I went back, to the group of 6 that we
I'm sorry, before you say that, someone here is writing to Caroline and said to that lady in black, God can never tell you not to serve. His name is Temitope Adewale Odeshi, or her name. Huh?
She was saying to serve in that church.
Yeah, God can never tell you. That was not God telling you not to serve in that church, because so he's saying that. But you see, this is another one of our religious. Why should serving be in that church? So you mean God can never tell her not to serve in that church? What about if God wanted her not to serve in that church, but to serve people outside the church? That's what the writing is just talking about, that serving in church is just homekeeping. But the real serving is supposed to be in the field. So, the fact that God told her not to serve in that church, you are questioning that and say that God couldn't tell her that? Who told you that by stopping to serve in that church, she stopped to serve altogether? That was when a real service started. That was when her real stewardship started. But it's also strengthened her relationship with God. She stopped serving in that particular church because she needed to be closer to God, first of all. And then she needed to know and have more time to serve people who are really in need. And that is what Ireti is about to talk about now. She is not going to church, any organized church. She doesn't belong to any church, but she and her husband and her team, they are doing work. After they came from Kyiv, she will tell you now, more than some churches are even doing.
Yes, when we go back to Nigeria, the last week before we left, we visited a few rehab centers and all. And when we visited, there was just this.
Here in Ukraine.
In Ukraine, we knew it, this because I'd been here 2 times before then. That was the third visit, But that particular time, we just knew that look, we were charged. We had something had been birthed in us that going back, we were definitely not going to go back and sit down. So when we got back, we went to the only correctional center, like they call it remand home. It's a place for stubborn children, you know, they call it juvenile delinquents, yes, juvenile delinquents, you know, and we went there, you know, but apart from that, they also keep mentally challenged people there, you know, they keep some handicapped, it's a mix of things, you know, you won't believe what is there. So when we got there, the situation was so bad, you know, we saw the children not well fed, you know, it's a government place, you know, but you know, the way they were treating the children and all that, it was just not it. Even the children weren't going to school. And this is in Nigeria, you know, as bad as it is in Nigeria, there's a law that says you still must not leave children, you know, children must not stay home and not go to school between the ages of 5 and I think till like 8th grade. It's compulsory. So it's not possible for government not to make provisions for these children to be in school. But of course, government is making provision. The food they were eating was so bad. No meat, no fish, no egg, no nothing. Just some rice with no color. You know, they just put coloring. No, it was so bad. Okay, getting there, we tried our best. We put in our effort. We did everything we needed to do and all that. Of course, like Pastor will always tell you, once you start doing good, some people start kicking. You know, at first they received us with all their with so much joy that we had come to help the children. We became the children's confidants. We became the children's hero. All the children, they'll come to us to tell us what was the problem and everything. It got to a time.
Before you begin to talk about the problem, what did that do to you? What sense of fulfillment? What did that do to you? Because you didn't even do that when you were church members.
No. In fact, when we started, as much as when we were church members, as much as this was a burden in our hearts, and we're thinking, why was the church not doing it? Why was the church? We didn't see that in ourselves, even though we're criticizing the church for not doing it, that we still did not understand that we were supposed to do. That we're supposed to just go out there. So when we came there, that we're the answers. It's not about the church is not doing it, the government is not doing it, someone is not doing it. It's you. We are the answer somewhere. So when we go back,
what we should underline.
Yes.
A lot of Nigerians, they only complain. The only thing we do is complaining.
Yes. So now when we got back, instead of complaining, we just, you know, we set out and started doing it. 6 of us, and we entered into the rehab and did all that. Now what we found out was that, as I was saying before, look, even the money that you thought you didn't have, it will just come out. You are no longer thinking, oh, school fees in a month's time is going to be school fees.
But the good thing is that the tithe and offering, it has purpose now.
Of course, you will go beyond your tithe and offering. You will not be arguing, should you be 10% of tax, or should it before tax? You will forget all that, because your heart, your passion is all there. You feel like giving it all and giving, you know, you've not, because the needs are there. It's the needs that are prompting you. It's a chance to affect a child, affect a mentally challenged, affect the inmate that is driving you, and you're not thinking, oh, I'm supposed to buy this for the house. You know, there were times that you will buy eggs and stuff, and you're thinking you have not bought the one for the house. No, they need all this. You know, yourself, you find that yourself takes, you know, the back. It goes, you know, to the back. You know, it's now about people and all that, and you find so much fulfillment, so much joy. Every day you go back and you're like, God, I know that this pleased you. You understand? You know, because you know yourself that this will not have been you. What you will have done with this money will definitely not resemble what it did today, you know. So I just know that, no, I just know. And he too, you know, when he finds joy in what you're doing, it's like the joy is contagious. When God is happy, you know, you just find this joy in your heart, because it's been a beautiful day. But different in church and doing nothing and thinking, oh, but I went to church, but I pay my tithes, but I gave offering, and so God should be happy. I've said, even though I'm not solving any problem, it's God's business.
But I really want people to go and share this message. Please, let's go and share this message. This will really be revolutionary. Let's go and write something about this. Let's write some comments, some remarks. Let's share the message. You're under the video in your device, you will see some option or some button that you need to press to share the message. Let's go share this message. Now, someone is saying that actually it's TY. I don't believe that Pastor Sandei is saying that you shouldn't go to church. Stop going to church. Well, that's exactly what I'm saying. I'm saying you should stop going to any church that is not strengthening your relationship with God. Any church that is not strengthening your relationship with God, any church that is not bringing you closer to God, any church that is not helping you to come to fulfillment, any church that is not bringing you closer in personal relationship with God, to develop your personal relationship with God, and to any church that is not helping you to come to fulfillment of your calling, you need to not just leave that church, not just stop going to that church, you need to run. Run for your life. Run away from the church. Stop going. And instead of going to those kind of churches, go and find fellowship of equal-minded people, people who love God like you, people who could strengthen your relationship with God, people who could help you to get your relationship right with the Lord. I go to church because I believe in the church that I have, that the church that I'm pastoring right now, it strengthens my relationship with God. It strengthens people's relationship with God. So I am a pastor of a church. I go to church, and but it's because I believe in this church. I see that it strengthens my relationship with God. If you know that your church strengthens your relationship with God, if you know that your church is helping you to fulfill your calling, then you have to go to church. Either it's a fellowship of small group or organized church, anything. But if it's not, run for your life. So now what Ireti is saying is that you being outside of organized church, they organize themselves to begin to do what Christians believe. It's not time to read now. It's not. Put it in down.
Sure.
No, it's not time. You are a hero. Focus.
Okay.
So what they were doing is that they got themselves together as Christians to now do what Christians are supposed to do without going to the organized church. And when she was going to an organized church, they were only taking offering from them and tithe. But now these people are using their tithe and offering to do what Christ demands from us to do. And nobody is organizing. They organize themselves to do what Christians are supposed to do. And they are now not just giving tithe, they are giving more than tithe. They are spending their extra money to make the world a better place, to spread the love of God and the kingdom of God in their surrounding. That is real Christianity. Real Christianity is not measured by you going to church or not going to church. Real Christianity is not measured by membership. Real Christianity is your personal relationship with God and your practice, how you are carrying the gospel, how you are carrying, fulfilling your calling, and how you are spreading the qualities of the kingdom of God on a daily basis. So if you are going to local churches or organized church and you are not the only thing you are doing is just patting yourself in the back and say, oh, I've given my tithe this way, oh, I go now, the pastor sees me, the members see me, I dress well, I bring my tithe, I minister, I serve in the church. That is not Christianity. That is not the parameter to mention or to use to measure your faith. The parameter to use to measure your faith is how that church going is strengthening your relationship with the Lord, and how it's helping you to fulfill your calling and your giftings and to conquer your promised land. If you need to do that only outside of the church, you have to come out of the organized church and begin to do that. That is when you are a Christian, not when you are going to church. So what they have done, the model that Ireti and the friends have done, is to come out of the church, gather themselves together, and become Christians. They are not giving their money, their tithe, their first fruit, or anybody to people who are just using them for what only God knows what. But they know what their money is being used for. They know what they are using their tithe and offering for. They are using their tithe and offering for what it matters, for what it's meant for. Didn't you know that there were some needs like that before in that city? How long have you been in that city?
Oh, I've lived there almost all my life. Now that's over 40 years.
And you have been a Christian for some time, and you are not doing that.
We were not doing that. You could give, to people, maybe family members or maybe neighbors, people you saw that had needs. As Christians, you knew you should give, but you didn't see problems in the society and maybe connected yourself to those problems and said, okay, this is what I can solve. If I see widows or this, I can, we didn't see it like that. And since we did, I think there was something, I missed that thought.
Because your Christianity became more practical.
Yes.
Just these few months.
Yes.
So,
yes.
What does that make you feel? What is the difference?
Okay, yes. Before I get to that, what I was going to say is that you said something about first fruits when you were talking. You said sometimes you do not even know that your first fruits,
or your
tithes or something, you're thinking, don't you think that first fruit might even be for your parents?
Yeah.
You see, when we're going to church, it was at the point where we were just starting out, my family and my husband and I, and things were rough. But you had to pay your tithes and offerings and stuff like that. So there were many times we would give excuses to his parents, that we couldn't send money, money. It could take 3 months, 4 months, and you're struggling, you couldn't send, but your tithe would be regular. So the day we came out of church, we said to ourselves, see, at least, no matter how hard things are, we always pay tithes. I say, so no matter how hard things are, this tithe will go to your parents.
Amen. Yes.
And from that day on, it became stable. No matter how bad the business was, no matter how bad financial situation was, because in Africa, you see, like nobody takes care of them. There's nothing anywhere. If you don't take care of your parents and they are not well-to-do, they've done everything to take care of you. Government didn't help them, and now they are retired or they are old and there's no support anywhere. You have to support them, So, and they weren't complaining, but we knew we were not doing our part concerning them. But the moment we started, we now said, now that same discipline we used in church, we'll use it with them. And monthly, no matter how bad the business, the same way we just take it out. So no matter how much they're talking, the business is bad, stuff is bad, no money, nothing, that one will be the first to go. And that taught us from that time that, look, if you dedicate yourself to anything to solve and all that, then you can do it, So it's not about just being religious and thinking church is where money goes. So it doesn't matter what happens, I give my tithe there. So you take your tithes there. I remember Pastor saying something about when he was starting out, he said he thanks God for a particular church member, or maybe two of them, who they are very, very rich. One has a bank. I mean, when you talk of a banker, those are the real bankers. They are not just working in banks. He has a bank. And so he was going to give his tithes. And Pastor said, and he told him, look, I will give you my tithes. But where do we want to put it? I want to see how we're going to channel that tithe. Our pastor was like, actually, maybe feeding of the poor was what was on ground there, or stuff like that and everything. And it was like, okay, good. Just show me where to pay to, and we'll be feeding the poor, So, and that helped, they fed so many, they got so many through that and everything. But Pastor said something there. He said, thank God for him. As pure as his heart seemed to be then, who knows if, he didn't bring that method and say, look, this money is huge. The kind of money I'm going to be giving you is huge. I don't want to tempt you with it. I would rather see it go straight. So let's do it that way. And others, like that. So what happens is, if we don't suspend our brains, we don't become gullible, we also will have some sense and say, yeah, if I'm giving, I should know that, it's doing it's solving some problems in the society. Yes.
Olu Tokwe Sheung here is from my book, Church Shift. And I was just thinking today of saying this lady that was talking about church, that maybe they have not read my book or Church Shift. Yeah, because Church Shift, this is my book here. I really addressed that in this book. And he's quoting from it. Tokwe said, in the book, it says, the Great Commission happens outside the church. Ministry, therefore, is what you do to bring your life and your sphere of influence under the kingdom rule. So, if ministry is helping you to make yourself closer and come under the dominion and the power of the kingdom rule, or is making you to bring your sphere of influence under the kingdom rule, under the influence of the kingdom rule, that is ministry.
Yeah.
But just going to church, that is not ministry.
No, it's not.
Any one of you want to say anything, contribute anything more? Yeah, okay. Okay. Well, today was a unique class. I would like to encourage everyone that is here to go ahead and share the message again. Please look under your video. You'll be able to see the share button or the option to share. So let's go ahead and share the message. This message will deliver and liberate a lot of people. We are not talking about religion now. We are talking about real Christianity and real relationship with God. So let's go ahead and share this message. As many people as possible, please go ahead and share the message. Let this truth set people free. Shioma Ugwude Nwigwe says, to order Pastor Sunday's books and CDs and messages in Nigeria, she's giving a telephone number here. So go ahead and look into, if you are based in Nigeria, you could get all my material from her. Get in touch with her, and she'll be able to get you any material of mine that you want. So congratulations to all of you today, that this is the last day of the old year, and tomorrow a new year starts. 2017 starts from tomorrow. Well. Like I said, we are going to be doing our live broadcast tonight, maybe from about 10 o'clock our time, maybe 11. But no, I'm going to come as usual. I'm going to come to do our program as usual at 9. I will come and give my last message for this year, still talking about this topic on values, why we must change the miracle-focused gospel to value-focused gospel. So I'm going to talk about that tonight, and immediately after that particular one, we will be doing our live broadcast for the crossover night, and then we'll have some party there in the church, some praise, some you see how we meet New Year, and after that, then it will be tomorrow morning, it will be Sunday morning, and I'll be back again at the same time tomorrow morning to start the new year with you with another message. I'm constant like the sun, like the moon. Constant. I will be back tomorrow morning. So we'll start another message tomorrow morning, and then in the evening, and we'll start a new movement from this week, from the new year. Okay, somebody is writing here. Yomi Onabule is saying, this man is not being specific. Okay, I'm not being specific. Good. He's the one that is specific. Wise guy, yeah? Someone that knows. You should know this man that you are calling this man. My name is Sandei Adelaja. I'm a pastor, by the way, so I know one or two things about Christianity. And not just that I know one or two things about Christianity, I've been the only man in the world who has been able to pastor a church that is 99% white people. I mean, the biggest church like that. And I am a black man that has been able to come to a different continent from his, and has been able to do what no human being has done in history. I am a man that is living in the 21st century that has been able to build the largest church in the continent of Europe. I am a man that has been able to, subdue a continent and a nation to the power of the gospel, and by being everywhere in politics, in education, in infrastructure, in technology, in culture, in education, in business, in any sphere of life, we have been able to penetrate it with the gospel. So this person is not just this man. This person knows one or two things that he's saying. I've taken the gospel far and wide. I've taken the gospel to the extent of the United Nations. I've spoken in the United Nations twice, or maybe thrice even. I've spoken in the United States Senate with the gospel. I've gone to the Parliament of Japan, Japanese Parliament with the gospel, Israeli Senate with the gospel. The Netanyahu, the Prime Minister, you see my picture with him, going to the internet and check for it. So this is not a man that is just talking. It's not just a talker here. It's somebody that has proved it. I've done it, what I'm talking about. So if I'm saying these things, you must know that there are serious reasons why I'm saying what I'm saying. And what I'm saying, they are not just some babbling or blabbering or some rambling or something. It's not just stupidity. These are thoughts that can help the body of Christ in general. These are no words of foolish man that doesn't know what Christianity is. This person knows or understands one or two things about Christianity, believe me. So he's saying this man is not being specific. If you want you to really hear specific, listen to all my other broadcasts or go to my blog and SundayAdelajablog.com, and you will see a lot of specific stuff there from this man. What Christianity is not, when the preaching is based on prosperity instead of salvation, because preaching salvation is what lets any Christian have a good relationship with God. Well, thank you for that information. I don't know how old you are, but I've been preaching Christianity maybe before you were born. I've been preaching Christianity and salvation maybe before you were born. So I know one or two things about Christianity, my dear. Yeah. Okay, I know some of the things I'm saying are controversial, but the reason they sound controversial to you is because religion has replaced personal relationship with God. Religion has replaced God's knowledge, and people don't have or enjoy God's knowledge right now. They only know what pastors have told them or what their leaders have told them. So they only keep on repeating what they've heard or what they've been taught. So they are not actually doing or living out their life in accordance to what they know to be the truth. So the things I'm saying, they might look strange right now, but after some time, you will discover that, wow, there is some truth in what this guy is saying. Yeah, that guy knows what he's saying, believe me. And your pastor, you go and ask your pastor about who this guy is. He will tell you that it's not one of the guys that could just be brushed aside and said he doesn't know what he's saying. You might not know, but your pastor will know. Or anybody who taught you Christianity will know who Pastor Sandei is. So, thank you so much for your time. Like I said, I'll be back tonight. And I'll be back tomorrow also. Every day we are on. Then from Monday, we have what we call History Makers Training. And HMT is called. So we're going to start HMT from Monday. And we're going to start a new year with new concentration, with new focus, and with new goals. And unfortunately, I'm not sure we're going to be transmitting these particular HMTs for students, but the ones who are going to be here are going to be hugely blessed. Thank you so very much for your time. It was nice being with you this morning. We'll be back tonight. God bless. Bye.